Welcome to Reflector Reflections podcast, where we journey through the kaleidoscope of human design, gene keys, astrology, metaphysics, all the things. In this special series, we're shining a spotlight on the inspiring voices in the human design community right here in the land down under. Today, together, we'll celebrate the incredible work that they do while diving into how they experiment and navigate their unique design. Today, I'm joined by the beautiful Hayley Ullman. Hayley is a 2-5, fully defined manifesting generator with the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix. Outside of human design, Hayley is a level 5 registered kinesiology practitioner who also weaves human design into her practice and is also one of our amazing speakers at this year's Human Design Conference here in Australia. And you're a Brizzy girl. Welcome, Hayley.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited about being here today.
We were just talking off air about how hot and humid and muggy it is. And
yeah, it's been pretty challenging, especially this week since my air conditioner broke. So that's been fun. Very humid.
Very humid.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in. And as we do, this is about you and your journey and your story. So I'd like to ask you, how did you find human design, or how did human design find you?
Well, I think, yes, human design found me. So I've been a kinesiologist for about 10 years now. Before kinesiology, I was an engineer and a project manager, and I dabbled in high school teaching. So I was on a little bit of a trip trying to figure out where I fit into the world, and then landed in kinesiology and absolutely loved it. And then through all my beautiful clients who then became kinesiology students and therefore colleagues, I was able to meet my business partner, Megan Dale, who introduced me to human design. So through having a lot of chats with Megan, her teaching me absolutely everything she knew about human design, just through osmosis, really. We were sort of working out how to utilize human design, in a kinesiology session. So it sort of just fell in my lap, and I absolutely loved the process of learning about it and utilizing it and expanding that as a tool within kinesiology and vice versa, right? So yeah, it found me. So I'm very grateful for that.
I love the stories of how it kind of stumbles into people's laps and they go, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's just opens your mind up and your world up to so much more. Life without human design, I couldn't imagine it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Can't unlearn it. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, because for reflectors, and I speak predominantly with reflectors here, it's like when we pull up our chart, or, we do our chart, we type it all in and it comes up and it's all white. I'm like, wow. Yours come up and it's all colored.
I know. I did not get that initially. I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? And I was sort of told it's meant to, like, life's meant to be all about you and how you perceive absolutely everything. And I'm like, but I don't get that, because I was very much a people pleaser initially. So very conditioned. So learning how to uncondition all the way through has helped me really step into that defined energy, like my viewpoint, how I look at the world, how I feel, sense the world, all of that sort of jazz. So it's been very different journey. Yeah.
I find it so fascinating because we cannot ever really sort of put ourself in somebody's shoes. Like a lot of people go, yeah, we never really know what it feels like. And so people often sort of say, wow, I don't know really what it feels like to be a reflector and have all that openness. And I kind of sit there when I look at charts that are fully defined, because I don't see too many of them grace my desk. And I think, wonder how that must feel to have solid definition.
It's pretty cool when you have stepped out of being conditioned to think otherwise or feel otherwise. So it's very empowering being able to just follow your own emotional wave, your own way of perceiving the world, evaluating the world, expressing yourself. So once I got past quite a few blocks, it feels really nice just to be within my energy, but that doesn't happen all day every day. So it's quite a work in progress to be able to really step in alignment with my design, that full definition. Mind you, I don't get knocked about by other people's energies quite like people with an undefined center can sometimes feel. So it's a little bit nice in that regard. I get a reprieve from a fair bit of energy around me unless I really tune in. So that's where my gifts and talents lie, is through the intuitive channels, being able to pick up on what people are thinking, feeling, sensing, that kind of thing, rather than through my open centers, which I don't have. Right?
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Of being able to
Yeah.
kind of like not get influenced as much. That's true. By not getting influenced, you can really serve, can't you?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably why it's easier for me to be a kinesiologist, because I can sit there and people can be having a meltdown in front of me and tears, and I can still be compassionate, of course, but stay on track. Whereas other people will feel it a lot. And if they don't recognize that it's not theirs, then that's when it can, like, therapy can be overwhelming for a therapist.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty grateful that I have that as part of my design for me. So, yeah, it's just been learning to recognize that my gifts and talents are more using that intuitive side of things, as well as all the knowledge I've gleaned through the years. But my wisdom's the key through the whole intuitive channels. Yeah, so that's been the biggest learning for me, is to step out of what does everybody else tell you to think and feel and do, and what is it that Hayley is telling herself, what's right for me, what's intuitively right for me, how can I help people? So being a 2-5, how am I able to save the day? Is it appropriate to save the day? And how do I save the day? So learning that's been understanding the intuitive side of things has sort of taken a lot of pressure off me. I used to think I had to fix everything and anything for everybody, especially if they came to me for help, right? And that was hard work. So now it just feels really more uplifting when you can be of service in the right way for me. Yeah.
That fifth line coming out.
Yeah.
With that manifesting generator, because, fully defined beings such as yourself, you're a generator, like you have a sacral, but because you have the solar plexus defined, that's your leading authority. So you are emotional, but it's like, in a way, you've also got that manifestor energy, and so how do you operate with your authority? Do you respond well to the yes nos, or do you really need a lot of time?
I need a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I need a lot of connecting into the intuitive side of things to work out what's right for me. Yeah. Because I think my sacral sort of kicks in a very different way. It's very gentle. So I have to use an awful lot of intuitive connection to work out, okay, what's right for me. So especially, going through the emotional waves, just to give myself enough time to go, is that still the right choice? Is that still the right choice? Yeah. And often checking in with any conditioning from the past as to, how I would have made a choice before. Is this in alignment with my true human design? So it takes time.
Yeah. Oh, I feel your friend.
Nothing's overnight.
No.
No.
But I think that's the way we're all going, isn't it? We're all realizing, even generators, pure generators, it's just everything takes a bit of time, and we need to give ourselves some time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you got to practice what you preach. So that's what I'm telling my clients. If they're emotional, that, yep, you've got to give yourself time, sit on it, check in again in a day's time or 2 days' time. So feel it in your body. Does it still feel like the right choice? And if not, you have the right to pivot and turn, right? Yeah. Especially if you're an MG. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
There's still that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
How is that? Like, I find when we discover human design and we start to sort of peel the onion back and back and back, we do take these visits back to our life that we've had. And especially if we're finding this a little later in life, like we're not in our 20s when we found this. So we've got kind of a bit of a story to go back and kind of go, oh, that explains it.
Oh, totally.
Little Hayley, how was your life growing up?
Well, I've used kinesiology a lot to help little Hayley. Growing up, I didn't use any of my intuitive capabilities. It was very much shut down from an early age, and it wasn't through anyone's fault. It just was society at the time. You were just told to toe the line, be a good girl, and this is how you live your life, right? So for me as little Hayley, I didn't use my intuition at all. And so that kind of has been a huge awakening in the last like 10 years of my life, really, to go from chalk to cheese, from black and white to all the colors in this world. I never had access to the sight, the hearing, knowing, feeling before sort of breaking into using kinesiology to help me decondition, right? So life as a little Hayley, and even, into the workplace, I just did what everybody told me to do. And I found I was very unhappy, very unhappy. Like, when you're capable of doing lots of different things, okay? So you're like, well, what do you go and do? I didn't know who I was whatsoever. So I just followed in my father's footsteps and became an engineer. And that was, oh my God, that was a dog eat dog world. And I'm very sensitive, and I know that now. But back then I thought I had to be, just like everybody else, which was very black and white. So it took me a while just trying to find where I fit in that world. Became a project manager, discovered that I did not like conflict. And that was the name of the game there. So not knowing who I was and not knowing that intuition was sort of key for me made life very difficult. So once I stepped into understanding the whole other world that's out there, right, your sixth sense, your inner knowing, human design, which gives you such an amazing framework to understand who you really are and how to just turn up in your gifts and talents and be the best version of yourself. It has been life-changing. Like, people who knew me before and see me now going, who are you? You are not the person you used to be. That in itself has had like a lot of challenges, mind you.
Yes,
a lot of challenges, but I wouldn't give it up for the world, because I feel so much more whole as a person compared to before, where there was a huge gaping, I don't know where I fit, I don't belong anywhere. Even though you're capable, you can do it all, just the spark wasn't there.
I love those feelings too, when we can really identify when we've been out of alignment. It's like we know how that sensation feels. And then when we start doing things that really light us up and we really honor that, and we're like, oh, that's what that feels like. And it's this body recognition, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like you kind of can't teach it. People need to experience that.
Yes.
Yeah, because like if you've never experienced it, then you can't sort of go, oh, okay, I know what you mean. It just has to flow and happen for you. So you sort of got to open up your awareness to like receiving that gift of human design, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, experiment with it and feel into it. And a lot of people go, oh my God. So in clinic, just explaining the basics of things to people, just in a kinesiology session, there's the penny drops for so many people in relation to, oh, that's why I walk into a room and I'm completely overwhelmed by all these emotions, and I'm thinking it's all me and what's wrong with me. And then they lose their confidence and don't back themselves and then can't speak up. And you're like, no, that's the greatest key for you, is going to recognize, is this mine or not? And then find a way to regulate your nervous system to come back to yourself. So, it's quite a powerful, modality to really find your true self with. And
it's been a big journey. Engineer, project manager, getting into this. What was that defining moment when you just went, sod it, I'm done, this is where I'm going?
Well, it was funny. I used to see a chiropractor. I still do, actually. She's my wonderful chiropractor now, that uses applied kinesiology as part of her practice. And so my sister-in-law was actually working with this chiropractor, and she says, oh my gosh, there's this, muscle testing weekend. Do you want to come and join me? And I just thought, oh, why not? It'll be fun, because the chiropractors, I love going to her sessions, and, she'd tell me there was an emotion stuck when I was 4 years of age. I'm like, how cool that my muscles aren't working because there's an emotion from 4. So it sort of hooked me then. Oh gosh, I've lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
How did you get into kinesiology?
Oh, sorry. That moment. Oh my God. Where is my head?
Are you picking up on my completely open head? It's got to work the other way, Hayley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. It's fine.
So no, it was just it was that moment that I just went, oh my gosh, that's so fascinating, and started learning purely because I followed a crumb of joy. not
Oh,
because I had any idea that I wanted to be a practitioner. Like, I was against that through the whole thing for 2 whole years. I'm like, oh no, I'm just learning this for my family and for myself, because I can see maybe I'll save some money on chiropractic bills, if
yeah, yeah,
if I can learn about this.
right.
Yeah, and so through that process, basically, it just unlocked a whole heap of stuff within me that opened my eyes, my awareness, but got me out of fight and flight, basically, enough to recognize that there is so much more to life and to open your eyes up. Yeah. So through then getting into kinesiology, and from kinesiology to human design, it's just, gone gangbusters with growth and expansion and understanding yourself.
Oh,
So it was,
so much so.
yeah, it was just learning all about um, that side of things, that there's so much more beyond what we can see, and recognizing that I was still stuck in a very old way of
Yeah,
looking at how you can make money and how you turn up in this world. It was just, it things just didn't match up anymore. And I just kind of had an epiphany one day, and I said to my boss, yeah, I'm going to become a kinesiologist. And he just looked at me as if I had two heads and said, but I was going to give you a pay rise. I'm like, oh, thank you. It's really kind. But I think I need to step out of this altogether. And he's just like, I do not understand you whatsoever. So there was no support whatsoever from, the engineering project management world. But there was something within me that turned the corner, that it was literally epiphany territory. Yeah.
joy, pure
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah.
So, finding this out about yourself, traversing all of these, this is a big shift. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming, obviously, you're just telling me off air, you're about to celebrate your 20-year wedding
Yes.
anniversary. So your
Yes.
husband, he's been along for the ride, and
He
so have your
has.
children. Did you
Yeah.
did you do all their designs and charts too? And
Yes.
how does that
Yep.
look?
Oh, it's been great, because just understanding how each child is, like, for want of a better word, wired, right?
Yeah.
You can help parent them so much more, and you can put fires out where there would be so much miscommunication, and understanding how one child is will regenerate his energy in a caves environment. So I'll actually let him close his windows and close the blinds for a little bit until the room needs airing out, and cleaning. But normally for me, I was like, no, all the windows and blinds open. You can't live like that. You got to have fresh air. But recognizing that he tunes, just to help him feel better, he's way more, like, sort of regulated for that reason, you know? And my other children, knowing who's emotional, who's not emotional, who's going to pick up on all the fears and anxieties and amplify them. So that's, my eldest. So whenever I'm nervous, he's going to be off the chart. So I have to look at myself and calm myself down instead of reacting, right?
Yeah.
And then help talk him through, well, do you think that's your emotion, or do you think perhaps it's mine? you know? So it's just bringing awareness for them to navigate life as well, their own little profiles, um,
What have
how
you
they're
got in
meant
the
to turn up.
house?
I got a
What have you?
3-5. So the eldest is a 3-5 generator.
Yeah.
So that's nice roller coaster energy, that one. A lot of trial and error. Then I've got another generator 1-3 and MG 6-2. Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
a fully generator house.
Yeah, and my husband's an MG 1-3 as well. So that, which is fascinating, right? Because very much focused on knowledge
Yeah.
and testing knowledge, yet I come at everything most of the time from a very intuitive hit. So it's about respecting both sides, going, yes, I know there's knowledge, but there's also knowledge from behind the scenes as well, wisdom and flow. So it's allowing everybody to mesh together without bringing anyone down, because they're doing it differently. So
Yeah.
it's been very helpful for the family unit. Yeah.
It is just, I don't know. I have such a profound respect for people as individuals more than ever through this, 6 years, and just how much more I respect my partner, my children, my friends. And
Absolutely.
it's like even I can forgive them things that maybe 10 years ago, if they would have
Yeah.
reacted some way, I would have been like, how fucking dare,
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
now
Yes.
it's like, oh no, that's okay. Like, well,
Compassion, right? So it's
yes.
sort of I think it just helps everybody's energy raise up when they're understood, or you can guide them to be the best versions of themselves. So we all calm down just a little bit, quicker than what you would have maybe in the past, not really understanding why someone's behaving in a certain way. So in that respect, knowledge is power, right? But it's also an intermingling of energy. That's what it is. It's a whole combination of the two, knowledge and energy coming together through awareness. And then that's when expansion occurs. Yeah.
Have you indoctrinated the kids into the cult yet?
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh mom, human design all the time. Like, in your design, this is how you're. I think they're a little bit sick of me, a bit of a broken record, but I do know that they are starting to sort of like subliminally take things on. Yeah. Or they'll throw it back at me.
Well, that's it. My 9-year-old daughter, she's a splenic projector, and I often I mention things about certain things as we're going and stuff like that. And I was saying to her the other day, I was joking, and I said, if there's ever a fire, I'm following you. And she goes, what do you mean? And so we were talking about like hits of intuition that the body knows. And I said, you being splenic authority, I said, you have a tell and you'll be the first one, and I'll be following you.
Oh, and yes.
And then she took it to school and she told everybody. And one of the other little kids had said to her, I'm a projector too. And I'm like, who's your mum?
Oh, wow, that's great. That is so good. I think, the younger we can get them to understand themselves, the better, right? We've just got to infiltrate into all of these institutions. We're getting there, slowly but surely. Yeah, that's so cute.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That 2-5 of yours, talking there before about the fifth line and the saving and things like that, I could hear that coming out as well as, other things, but it's very much, again, from my experience of not being a 2-5, I'm a 5-1, but I always kind of imagine that the 2-5 is a real push and pull in a way, because the second line kind of really, not until you really need me, but the fifth line's there and it's just always ready,
Yes,
and I just kind of think sometimes it's like,
oh yeah. And sometimes my nervous system will switch it over, right? So I can go into becoming a 5-2, which is very much out of alignment for me. So it's learning to trust that instinct of, when to save the day. All right. Because not everybody needs to be saved all at once. And because you might get in the way of somebody else who's meant to be saving that person in a much different way. And hopefully, that particular way is more uplifting for them, right? So if you keep jumping in, saving all the days, then number one, you exhaust yourself, and a hermit like me won't regenerate very well or be very happy. And you want to be happy in your service, right? So correct. It's very much a push-pull feeling, like, should I? As soon as I use the word should, I know, okay, therefore I shouldn't, right? But also just checking in relation to, am I helping this person out of fear of judgment? That just because I can, therefore I should. That in itself is contradictory, right? So it's sort of having to really check in all the time. Is this the right way to support that person? And sometimes the best way I can do it is by stepping back now. So it's not easy to navigate. I'm still learning that one.
Yeah.
But when a client turns up, then you kind of said, yes, I'll help you, right? But it can be a little bit like, well, I'll help you, but I'll actually empower you to help yourself. And that's the most impactful way of supporting people, in my opinion.
Oh, 1,000%. As a fifth line, then you don't have to burn afterwards.
No, they've learned and they've moved on, right? Yeah, and then there's no codependency going on. Yeah, which as a line 5, you can develop in people because you can help them, right? So it doesn't help you and it doesn't help them. So it's about checking into, what's right for you will be right for them first and foremost, right? So if it's not right, it's that energetic match isn't quite there. It's not the right time. There's like a nervous system response. For me, I have to really check in and find out, is that because it's not the right timing? Or am I getting in the way by forcing my line 5 too early to save the day because I know I can in some way or another, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not with
Yeah,
the
I do.
God complex or anything like that. God, no. But
Yeah. No, I
that
do know
kind of
what.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's interesting, just in my experience with body workers or people who are quite intuitive and they're working in this space, kinesiology or those kind of arts. I'm just trying to find the right words here. They they're very attuned to their own body's ways of. They're very in tune to kind of listening a lot more to their body, and I find that a lot of body workers, I say that in a very broad way, they're very in tune to their design side of their human design.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine for you, you're very in tune to your fifth line, and that design side because you're working it. I know for me, I'm the same. It's like I've become very attuned to my first line side and my design side. The
Mm-hmm.
more I'm in it, because the more I'm listening and the more I'm actually really tapping into the vehicle. And that's what
Correct.
the design's about. Do you feel that?
Yeah, well, I'm a 2-5. So the line 2, I have to really feel into the gift side of things, but just turning up and doing things well, and then recognizing in the unconscious intuitively, is this when you save the day? So the two have to mesh. I have to work very hard to make that fifth line not just the design side of things, because I can easily switch into that. Correct, because you will always use that 100% first and foremost. So working hard on trying to mesh the two together so I don't swap them over. So using the gift and talent, the intuition to be able to work out when's the appropriate time and the appropriate way to save the day. Yeah. So yeah, it's been
that.
a journey.
It is. And you know what? I sometimes think, oh, it's been a journey. And I'm like, yeah, but it's going to keep being a journey.
True. You sort of think, God, how, like, my mind's been blown so much, right, in the last 10 years of my life. Like, how much more could there possibly be? But, like, we've barely scratched the surface, I believe.
That's what I think
So it's
too. I
exciting.
get excited.
Yeah.
Even though
It
some
all will
days you're
just
like,
evolve. Yep. Yep. It all will just evolve, in my opinion. You know, what we understand now about our human design, evolutionary energy tells that, you know, things morph and change. So what will morph and change through this process as well? So that's exciting.
it's so good. And you know, the more that we're kind of getting out there a little bit more, the more I see so many people recognizing the absolute gift and beauty of weaving human design into their practices, whether that's counseling, hypnotherapy, kinesiology,
Yes.
all sorts of things. You see people really starting to weave it in, and it's an amazing thing.
Oh, I agree. I think it should just be a cornerstone of everybody's like education.
Yeah.
You
And we've
know?
got a couple of you coming to the conference that are kinesiologists. Obviously, I will ask you, but I know that you wanted to do, because you are co-presenting with Megan Dale.
Yes,
And she's
yes.
going to be on as well, the podcast. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with me, and Megan, I'll kind of like, we're channeling you right now. You're here with us too.
Thanks, Megan.
Talk to me about how this has evolved for you and what these beautiful people who are attending are going to be privy to.
Well, so I've sort of spoken to you today a lot about how I use human design in kinesiology in clinics. That's very much one-on-one. But what Megan and I have discovered over the last couple of years is that it's not just in relation to a singular person. Like when we all come together in a group, for example, a business or at a conference, we sort of mesh into one big soup of energy, right? So recognizing first and foremost your own energy and how you turn up in, you know, your best gifts and talents in alignment with yourself, you're still going to bring a lot of your own nervous system baggage, right? And people can trigger you left, right, and center. So what we're trying to bring an awareness to for people in the conference is just recognizing that you have the ability to recognize when something has triggered you and your nervous system and how it's pulled you out of alignment. And then how you can recognize when the energy around you might be morphing and changing and affecting your nervous system, and how it is that you're able to sort of find your balance even within the soup. if you know what I mean, soup of people. So just opening up their minds in relation to, from an individual perspective, using kinesiology and clearing blocks and nervous system stress, you can also do that on a collective level. Yeah. So that's kind of how we're going to help people see it from the individual through to the group dynamics. So yeah,
I love that. It's so good, considering the work I do of just having that space for us to all have tools that we can use to help reset. And it seems to be in the last, especially the last few years, there's a lot more chatter about it. Our nervous systems matter, how we respond, how we get triggered, and how we can kind of like uncouple from that triggering and really start not necessarily poking around in the wound, but
yeah,
clearing,
yeah,
clearing.
yeah. Moving on, yeah, sort of resetting, because you can't take away the mini traumas or the different triggers, but what you can do is help yourself move beyond it so that you can still turn up as you, even in and amongst like a whole heap of energy that might be, a stressed energy, right, around you for whatever reason, but recognizing how you feel, how you can calm your system down and come back into alignment, and therefore what the knock-on effect to that group's energy is, right? So the more we respect other people around us as to how they're designed, okay, you can then support them, you lift their energy, right? And so if you're supporting somebody next to you and they're supporting the person next to them, then the whole group dynamic energy shifts as well. So it's an awareness on a multitude of levels, from individuality through to the nervous system of the group that's around you. So you sort of expand your mind into the fact that the collective energy almost has its own brain and its own nervous system reactions. And you can still have a wonderful impact on regulating that particular energy just through your own awareness and learnings and tools. Exactly.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
ripples.
Yeah.
So kinesiology, can you share with people who may not understand what kinesiology is?
Yeah, sure. No worries. Well, kinesiology is a modality that helps you connect into your innate wisdom through muscle monitoring techniques. So it's recognizing when there is a stress state held within the physical body, but it's actually accessing the subconscious knowledge, right? So your subconscious mind's like 1,000 times smarter than your conscious brain. So it pretty much knows everything about you. But stresses and traumas can sort of break down the bridge of that communication from subconscious to conscious mind. So using kinesiology, we can access that innate wisdom, help your body become aware of what the problem is. And then it rebuilds its bridge through you helping de-stress that whole physical system at the same time, so that that flow of information is able to come through and the body starts to heal. So that's the idea of kinesiology, is accessing your innate healing wisdom and capabilities. And through awareness, your body starts to go, oh gosh, I can't believe I had that breakdown of information. And just like, if you stub your toe, your body knows to go and send, blood and white platelets and all sorts of things to sort of start to coagulate and heal that particular kicked toe, right? But sometimes it doesn't know how to heal things because it can't access the information.
Yeah.
And that's the trauma has sort of blocked the flow of information. Yeah. So if you're able to access what the problem is, help the body rebuild itself back in alignment with its own sort of blueprint, then you start to get back on track again. Yeah. So it's very effective tool to help get you out of fight flight, to find all the triggers related to that particular nervous system response from a body, mind, and spirit level. So it covers all bases. Yeah. Because as you know, not one thing's in isolation. There's usually a whole heap of different things that are occurring that get you into a pickle in the first place. So it's just trying to find the map of where things have come unstuck, get your body on track with its own awareness so that it can sort itself out again.
My first degree is in health science, and I had a choice whether or not I wanted to be naturopath, kinesiologist, or a Chinese medicine, a herbalist. I ended up choosing naturopathy. But one of the gifts that I had, this is at the tender age of 23, was just ring just being able to test myself. And we had to sort of like do it all the time. And so I learned, and it was so empowering for me throughout all of this craziness, obviously nowhere understanding about the fact that I was a reflector, and being able to help myself make decisions. And I'd always be, even in boardrooms later on in life, I'd be doing my little, under the table.
Yeah.
So and I mean, that's a very, very basic way of using it. But I tell you what, it has allowed me to anchor and kind of like tap into Annie and just go.
Great.
And I do it all the time. I've actually, started using different things now, but just to think that that's been with me for,
for years. That's amazing.
Whatever, how many years that I've had it, and not really knowing until these days of going, oh, I needed something and I had to make decisions and I had to do things. And this was it. This was okay.
Yeah, that was your tool at the time. Exactly. And so your tools morph and evolve and change.
Yeah.
100%. But it's sort of just a way of accessing what your mind has sort of blocked you finding the truth under the surface with. So yeah, it's empowering in that respect. Yeah, just being able to get the information, because without information, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So how do you fix it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So just another tool. Exactly.
And how do you weave in the human design, or is it just more about, showing people that there's more to them?
No, sometimes. So obviously it can be an education session for them, like just if they haven't actually experienced human design before. So, the penny drops with just basic education. But throughout a kinesiology session, sometimes it'll come up that maybe one of their centers, which would normally be defined, has gone into undefined. And so we work out, like, why did that switching occur? There might be a gate that person is amplifying, say, the reactive nature to that particular gate. If you've ever heard of Emma Dunwoody's book in relation to specific gates and all the different categories within each one of them. So helping that person recognize that, they're sitting too much in the reactive nature and they're not able to get to the gift side of it. Or are they amplifying that reactive, or under amplifying the gift? Do you understand what I mean? So there's many different avenues that can be out of balance. So using kinesiology, we can work out, well, where is that? Is it a block with a center, a gate, channel, with one of your planets, with your genius, with your north-south node? Are you getting stuck, in the south node, not actually progressing towards your north? Like all of these different things. And it just comes down to what each person needs. I'll often start a session though where I'm reading their energy just intuitively, and I can see when they're not lit up in the way that their innate design is meant to. So can watch the energy shift through sight, basically. So I'll know where that blockage is, even without kinesiology. So I use the two to sort of reinforce, okay, right, that's what I'm seeing. Is that testing up through your subconscious as well? So it's like a double whammy, just to try to find out where things are blocked or out of alignment. Yeah. And just recognizing that when people have really open centers, sometimes they can just draw in too much energy that is not in alignment with them, and that help them shift that out so they hold energetic boundaries as well. So there's a multitude of things that could come out of a kinesiology session using human design. But the whole idea is to get them back in alignment with their innate design so they turn up as the best versions of themselves on a daily basis.
I love that you were even saying there, I just do it with sight, and you've got outer vision cognition.
Yeah, I do.
Sometimes just can't make this shit up. People just.
I know.
It's really good. Just what you're saying there about my mind went straight to the sieve. The sieve, and in the reflector space or in open center space or undefined centers, it's often about be the sieve. Don't hold on to it. Let it come through you. Mm-hmm. And when I was recently on retreat over with Christine Spicer, she actually brought in this massive sieve and sand and leaves and stuff. And it was so good to, as she was talking, and to have this cognition of out of it, actually to see it in action.
That's great.
And these kind of things just really land. They just land so much more with you when you're actually physically watching how this shit can get stuck.
Totally. Yeah. So, half the way of delivering wisdom is storytelling, isn't it? So painting a picture for somebody of this is how this is being blocked, and that was perfect example, wasn't it? Yeah,
so good,
yeah.
so good. Oh, I have loved having this chat with you.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you just so much for sharing, yourself with the world and the things that you do. And it's just so, I don't know, it's amazing to connect with people and just hear how they're utilizing human design and the gene keys and just in their businesses. And it's just going to be so wonderful to have you guys back there again at the conference.
Yes,
Old
I'm
mates.
very excited. Yes, it'll be great. Very excited. I can't wait to learn more, right? Because there's just so much more to learn. Yeah, so we're very excited. Yeah. Thank you very much for having us, and hopefully you will all get out of what we're able to deliver from the collective side of things, what we hope you can.
Oh, it'll be amazing. Share with, if you don't mind, before we leave, share with how people can find you.
Yes, so at this point in time, we're just in the process of rebranding and website creation for how Megan and I work together. So that business is called Self Insight, but individually, my business is Your Insight Kinesiology. And so you're able to find out information about what I do through that department. But yeah, we're still in the throes of getting everything sorted, socials wise, with Self Insight, which is the collective energy support for businesses and groups using human design and kinesiology together.
I've got tingles.
Great.
It's a good tingles. It's just like, oh, hello. See ya.
Great.
Thank you again so much,
Thank
Hayley.
you, Annie. Thank you very much. My pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting to you. Thank you.
We're going to see you soon.
Yes. Thank you.